The Oconee Hill Cemetery's proximity to campus is astounding. Getting to the cemetery can be challenging because you have to go through a hole in the fence of the N08 parking lot. Walking across the train tracks, you come to the entrance where you can see Reed Hall, which is where I live. It's crazy to think about how close I live to such an historic landmark. Crossing the street, I make it to the entrance, which has been there since 1855. In addition to being near Reed Hall, the cemetery is in the shadow of Sanford Stadium. The cheers of the fans have permeated the cemetery for hundreds of years. Most of the students that go to Georgia, even the ones who live so close to the cemetery, barely know its history or that it even exists. Many historic men in Athens and Georgia history have been buried in this cemetery. Although these men have done great things, many of them were slaveholders, and prejudice is even evident in death. If a slave was lucky enough to have a headstone, it was small, unmarked, and pushed to the hillsides, as shown by these graves here. Cemeteries for me are supposed to be a place free from prejudice where families can go to mourn their loved ones' passings. I have been to cemeteries just like this countless times and have had to deal with death since a young age. My first experience with cemeteries, burial, and death came in 2014 when my grandmother passed away from lung cancer. Now, anytime I see or go to the cemetery, I remember that hard time in my life. Although I have dealt with many loved ones passing, the worst are the unexpected deaths. Just this past semester, on September 15th, my childhood friend died in a fiery car crash. On this day in Athens, the Georgia Bulldogs were playing Middle Tennessee in their second game of the season. In Savannah, there was a different feeling of sadness and sorrows. I got a call during halftime from my mom explaining that my best friend had passed. I immediately froze, and my happiness instantly changed to sorrow and sadness. Since this was so unexpected, I began to cry as 92,745 fans were cheering on the Dogs. This was the worst day of my life, and I still think about him to this day and the memories we made together as children. Seeing these headstones brings back my memories of death and sadness, yet that cannot take away from the beauty of this cemetery. The flowers placed upon graves symbolize that even in death, your family members will remember your life. My favorite part of this historic cemetery has to be the Bulldog Haven, which is where influential people to Georgia football were buried. It's inspiring to see that even in death, people feel such a strong connection to the university. The place someone is buried tells something about their life. Who or what they surrounded themselves with in life will likely be who or what they will surround themselves with in death.